Good afternoon to all of you. I welcome you to the closing session of the third Asia-Pacific Clean Air Partnership Joint Forum. My name is Sophie Punte and it's a pleasure to be a moderator for this session. I was in India when I was 21. I worked for 4 years at UNEP on the environment and then 6 years at Clean Air Asia in Manila. So the whole topic of Asia, climate change, air pollution is very close to my heart. And I'm now here from my home in the Netherlands to hear you all welcome. So thank you, Joe, for joining us over the last 2 days for very informative and inspiring discussions. We've heard from many voices, and I was particularly touched by the youth voices of the previous sessions and the various champions on how we can beat air pollution. And the message is clear. We must build back better to bring clean and healthy air for all. So what we need is more capacity and advocacy for green recovery planning that is inclusive, resilient, and makes our economy sustainable. So this is really the one opportunity to future-proof our economies. And to make that happen, we need everyone on board, multi-stakeholder action, whether it's governments, businesses, society in all sectors, energy, transport, waste, agriculture. This is really crucial to protect our health, our environment, and of course, our livelihoods. And it touches me especially to hear in the previous session about young people who are seeing the environmental situation we're in and being afraid and looking out for ways on what they can do. And that's why I think we as an older generation, and now includes myself, need to lend them our hands to see how we can involve the youth better. So we need to also scale up our commitments and make sure we have solutions through policy, technology, financing to beat air pollution while leaving no one behind. We need to bring everyone along. And together we can make this happen. We can build faster towards the future we want. And in this session of the APCAP Joint Forum discussions, we will share a summary. We will hear some messages from the representatives from key sectors, including climate, children and youth, and cities, on how to go forward. So to start with, I would like to invite Ms. Isabel Luis, UNEP Director for Asia and the Pacific, to present the lessons and messages from the APCAP Joint Forum. Isabel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sophie. And a good evening and a good afternoon, wherever you are joining us. Excellencies, colleagues and partners. Thank you so much for being with us in this closing session of the third APCAP Forum. I'm sure you'll agree with me that we had such a rich exchange of information, experiences, knowledge these past 2 days. Thank you to all the distinguished speakers and panelists, to the voices of the youth, the scientists, the businesses, the policymakers, the UN agencies, and many more for lending your expertise, experience, and stories to the third Asia-Pacific Clean Air Partnership Forum. We will have final statistics soon, but for now, I can say that the forum welcomed over 64 experts, scientists, journalists, government representatives, and private sector to speak and lend their expertise. Amazingly, 32 are female and 32 male. So this is what we call gender equality. More than 600 people have tuned in for these sessions from all around the world, proving that despite this being a forum focused on the clean air issues of the Asia-Pacific region, clean air is also of global interest. Such is the commitment and the desire to know and to do more for clean air. It has been truly fascinating and inspiring to learn from all of you with such enthralling sessions. We heard clearly from the opening and high-level plenary on the urgency to act. This silent killer is touching on all facets of our lives: health, jobs, economies, society, and the environment. The COVID-19 pandemic is also affecting similar aspects and cannot be excluded in the actions we take. What was truly gripping was hearing passionate calls for stronger enforcement of policies and regulations, for greater collaboration across sectors and across borders, for increased application of innovative technology and magnifying solutions with much needed investments. Inclusivity in all actions, from farmers to policymakers to businesses. The environment, our health, our livelihoods, our economies cannot be compromised anymore, if we are to build back better and greener. 5 overarching themes came through in the past 2 days. The first is co-benefits and the urgency of action to address air pollution as an integral part of carbon neutrality measures to avoid climate change. Science-based evidence and nature-based solutions must address the triple planetary crisis. Another overarching theme was technology and innovation. Whether we are looking at open burning, industry emissions, transport, coal burning, we heard of various solutions that are already being implemented, which supports creating green jobs and strengthening capacity building for communities. The third theme is investments. This needs to match the scale of the problem. From businesses, government expenditures, international and development financing, the banking sectors, private foundations, and many other financing sources. We need to connect the money to the solutions like technology, capacity building, monitoring stations, alternative clean air solutions. The fourth theme was on policies, regulations, and enforcement. International commitments to local action, national policies and laws enforcement, city-led solutions, outreach, awareness, and education. And finally, a very strong theme running through the whole sessions were collaboration and leaving no one behind. Partnerships at all levels, across borders, international to community level, private-public partnerships, women, children, youth, and the vulnerable-centered solutions, recognizing good practices of traditional knowledge from the grassroots level. In summary, these messages rang out from all of the contributors. From our scientists, the message is clear. We cannot continue in a world where 92% of people are exposed to unhealthy air. Air pollution is at a critical state, and we must act fast. The climate crisis is infringing on every aspect of our rights, threatening our very survival. Improving air quality will also help us protect the climate. Solutions exist, but we need to invest in it to reap the rewards. We know the solutions. We know better cooperation is needed. We need to match our knowledge and words with concrete action. And from our counterparts, the private sector, technology and digitalization were emphasized as driving the growth for cleaner solutions. Strong government support, robust infrastructure, and public participation can accelerate measures for air pollution control, such as sustainable practices in industries, transport, and e-mobility and agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, we came together to share and learn how we can build back better for a healthy air and a healthy planet. The direction is clear, and collectively we can go forward. We at UNEP remain committed to work with our partners to take these messages and calls for action forward, including through the Asia-Pacific Clean Air Partnership. The good news is that every step we take now to improve air quality is one more step towards creating clean air for generations to come. The APCAP Joint Forum's summary of key messages, event report, and visual illustrations of all our sessions will be available online by the end of September. So thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Isabel. I really enjoyed having that summary, which is really reflecting what's happened over the past 2 days. And linked to that is a very recent development. It's the IPCC report, the climate report that was released just beginning of last month. And it signals a code red for humanity. But it also gives a small glimpse of hope, namely that if we now put together our actions to get to clean air and a healthy climate, we can still avoid the worst of the climate impacts that are heading to us. And with that, we are very honored to have with us Mr. James Graber, Director Mitigation Division and Acting Director Communication and Engagement Division of the UN Climate Change Secretariat, to share his thoughts on how we can raise ambition for clean air and climate. Mr. Graebert, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and distinguished delegates and co-panelists, ladies and gentlemen. It's definitely a pleasure to be here today to join you virtually. As you heard, I'm James Graebert. I work with the UNEP CCC Secretariat. First, let me thank the organizers, the Asia Pacific Clean Air Partnership, the Ministry of Environment of Japan, and UNEP for bringing all this together and having these 2 days of discussions. This critical issue of clean air and climate change. Indeed, we are in the middle of one of the most significant movements of our time, the global effort to limit greenhouse gas emissions and move towards greener, cleaner, more sustainable economies and societies. This is an unprecedented scale and pace in which we are trying to act and need to act further. We all know that the countries have agreed under the Paris Agreement to preserve a livable climate and to limit climate change related damages. At the very least, we must be carbon neutral by 2050. There's no alternative. This is the imperative that we're faced with. Also, with countries having different circumstances, resources, and abilities, under the Paris Agreement, it was collectively decided that each would determine their own climate pledges, which we refer to as the nationally determined contributions, the NDCs. And every 5 years, countries are expected to revise their NDCs, raising ambition towards realizing the universal agreement. Thus, the NDC enhancement is an indispensable tool for realizing the Paris Agreement. However, at the same time, we know that the current levels of NDC's ambitions do not put us on the path. In fact, the current trajectory will see us overshooting the temperature goal, perhaps by at least double. So what does the science tell us? We were just referring to the IPCC report. Well, limiting global warming to 1.5 is going to require rapid and far-reaching transitions in land, energy, industry, buildings, transport, and across all cities. The global emissions would need to fall by about 45% from 2010 levels by 2030 and ultimately reach a net zero around 2050. In August of 2021, 117 parties communicated their new or updated NDCs. 61% of these, of 191 parties that ratified the agreement, and they cover 45% of the world population and 75% of the world's GDP. A further 32 parties have communicated their longer-term low-emission development strategies. So we haven't gotten all the information yet, but as I said before, what we're seeing is we need more ambition. The number of countries and number of corporates that have pledged to achieve net zero, however, has grown rapidly over the last year and now covers nearly 3/4 of global emissions. This is a huge step forward. However, most pledges are not underpinned by near-term policies and measures. Therefore, much work lies ahead for us to realize forward-looking policies that can accelerate the transition, mitigate the uncertainties, and ensure maximum benefits for climate and clean air. Over 90% of Asia Pacific's population of 4 billion people are exposed to levels of air pollution that pose a significant risk to their health, but also adversely affects agriculture and contributes to severe climate change. The good news is that the proven policy measures and technologies exist today that tackle vehicle emissions, industrial emissions, short-lived climate pollutants, and promote renewable energy and energy efficiency, and also reduce methane emissions, as we heard from Nathan in the previous session. Studies by UNEP, others show that through these emissions, through these measures, carbon dioxide emissions in 2030 could be reduced by almost 20%, and methane could be reduced by 45%. This would decrease the expected warming by 1/3 of a degree Celsius by 2050, and it would contribute to the Paris Agreement target. Among the NDCs submitted so far, renewable energy generation and shifting to low or zero carbon fuels have frequently been indicated. And improving energy efficiency and shifting to more efficient modes of transport were often mentioned as well, and parties frequently indicated the waste to energy elements. So, and the improved management of NER and HERDS also has been indicated and also can contribute to cleaner air. And the fluorinated gas substitution as a key mitigation option relevant to reducing non-CO2 emissions was highlighted by parties. And finally, quite a few parties are referring to carbon pricing mechanisms in order to be efficiently incentivizing the shift to low carbon behavior and technologies. Over 30 of the NDCs referred to measures related to clean cooking, Small number of parties, unfortunately less than 10, have referred to short-lived climate pollutants, including reduction of black carbon and targets for HFCs phase out in their indices. So methane, hydrofluorocarbons, black carbon, tropospheric ozone, all these short-lived climate pollutants are responsible for nearly half of the warming today. So we need to tackle them for climate change as well as for clean air. They are tens of thousands of times more powerful than carbon dioxide in warming the planet. Therefore, much work lies ahead for us to address these SLCPs. Now, HFCs are now still widespread in air conditioners, refrigerators, aerosols, phones. The Kigali Amendment, where countries agreed to phase out HFCs gradually, 80 to 85% by late 2040s, was an important achievement, of course. But is it enough? Is it enough for the climate goals and the air quality goals we all want to achieve? Science is telling us the Kigali Plus may be needed, considering that air conditions is growing rapidly across Asia and other regions. The IEA has estimated an energy performance of air conditions, for example, could easily be doubled by 2030 and would even save $300 trillion between now and 2050. Furthermore, the Clean Development Mechanism made an important contribution to eliminate HFC 23s and byproducts in air conditioners before its phase out from CDM. Other mechanisms under the Montreal Protocol have taken over to continue that shift, and it needs to continue going forward. In any case, the NDC enhancement may be an apt tool to harness more wind and solar power to run air conditioners or use natural or low emission refrigerants to substitute the HFCs and improve the cold chains. Much has to be done. We also heard before about the methane assessments that have been done and the importance of this in contributing, I mentioned earlier, to the effort to reduce warming. Methane represents a fifth of global greenhouse gas emissions, so we have to do more here as well. Around the world, emerging out of COVID, governments are establishing the economic recovery plans for energy and agriculture sectors, transport, and many other sectors, which are responsible for large emissions of these SLCPs. A range of solutions exist to reduce or eliminate this air pollution with health benefits that outweigh the cost of mitigation actions. For example, policies and investments for public transport, such as mass rapid transit and walking, cycling networks, can promote safe, active travel, reducing health risks, and it could have economic impacts from mitigate the impacts from air pollution. So reducing the SLCPs promotes food security as well. Studies show over 50 million tons of crops can be saved each year by implementing these policies. IPC, going back to the IPC 1.5 degree pathway, will involve halting investment in unabated coal, of course, by 2030, if we're serious about getting on the pathway. According to the carbon tracker, around 80% of the operating coal now could be replaced with renewable with an immediate cost saving. Some countries have begun to address this issue, but there's a large scope to expedite this effort. Similarly, an unprecedented range of mobility options are now available to cities, including multiple reinforcing trends in mobility and land use planning. The key to reducing emissions through these trends is to ensure that all residents have access to a variety of attractive, affordable, low carbon mobility options. Besides encouraging walking and cycling, targeted enhancements of mass transit such as BRTs, MRTs, cities can accelerate emission reductions by enabling uptake of next generation vehicles, which take advantage of new electric, shared, connected, and autonomous technology, and by optimizing their freight transport and delivery fleets. So ladies and gentlemen, I do not presume what I've said is to be an easy journey, but we know that this is not only necessary, but it's actually achievable. So how do we make it happen? For one, we need broad multi-stakeholder coalitions and actions. We need everyone on board, all the companies, cities, regions, financial institutions, all of civil society, to accelerate this transition. Dialogues with these actors is critical to demonstrate how this transition can benefit workers and communities and ultimately transform the way we live our lives for the better. In terms of NDCs, we talk about all of government approach to the policies, but we need an all of society involvement in designing and implementing those policies. Together with political commitment and the right incentivizing policies, we can and we must make that change. And if in a month or so's time at Glasgow at COP26, it will be a key moment for all of us to get recharged, for the critical journey we have to achieve the global goals. It is in our interests, but it's also our responsibility towards the future generations to keep the world safe and livable. So allow me to reiterate here as well to this forum, the UNFCCC, the UN Climate Change Regional Collaboration Center in Bangkok. With our development partners, we remain committed to supporting countries in the region as they enhance and implement their NDCs and develop long-term strategies for low-emission development and look at ways to link clean air policy with climate policy. So please do not hesitate to reach out to us. So with that said, of course, I look forward to continue to work with all of you to make successful all the efforts we heard about at APCAP and that all the efforts that are already underway by all the countries and partners here today. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And one message that I picked up most from you is that there's many commitments and plans. What we need is action now and short-term policies that make things happen. And ironically, the youth have the longest time left on the planet. Yet I think the sense of urgency and the acute realization that we cannot wait with acting on air pollution and climate change and global sustainability comes from them. And with that, it gives me real pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Mio Jinyu, who is the Deputy Regional Director of UNICEF's East Asia and Pacific Regional Office, to give his message on protecting the health of youth and children from the impacts of air pollution. Please, sir. Can you unmute, please?
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Thank you very much, Sophie, my fellow panelists, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor and pleasure to be part of the Third Asia and Pacific Clean Air Partnership Joint Forum, and also part of the giving closing remarks on the protection of our future, the voices of youth and children. I want to bring to the forum on three things. First, clean air is a child right. Clean air is one of the fundamental rights of every child. And clean air should not be a privilege for a certain group of people or certain nationalities or for only those who can afford it. It is a fundamental right that we must protect for every child and our future generation. So my second point, if the clean air is a child right, air pollution is a child right crisis. Why we are saying that exposure to air pollution is a cyclical and it begins much earlier in life. While children are still developing their lungs, their immune system, the air pollution, especially they are vulnerable to the polluted air. Their airways are smaller. The infection can cause damage to their airway. And as you know, the children, their respiratory rates or their breathing rates are twice as fast as adults. So they are inhaling more polluted air, much higher percentage to their body mass or their body weight. So these are the challenges for children when the air they are breathing in is polluted. As James said, Asia and Pacific is the most affected region in terms of air pollution. And in 2019 report, an estimated nearly 500,000 children or infants lost their lives in the first month due to air pollution. And almost half of them are from Asia and Pacific. So we are talking about 250,000 infants causing the child mortality due to air pollution. And in addition to child mortality, air pollution can also reduce the quality of life of children and the youth and the adolescents and longer term in their adult life. It is also important to note that air pollution is importantly an environmental justice and equity issue. Air pollution combined with other factors such as a social issue, economic issue, geographical environment, they all create a disproportionate disease burden on the children, especially the poor and the needy ones. Children and youth have already made their voices clear throughout this forum, in the media, everyday life, they are telling us that their futures are being destroyed, their rights violated, and their pleas for clean air and climate action being ignored. So climate crisis and air pollution is a threat to their survival and well-being. The responsibility to protect them and support them not only fall on one agency, nor one government or one organization alone. It's the responsibility we all share. My third point, what are we doing about it? I want to bring to your attention on one particular item on child-centered clean air actions. Given this alarming pollution situation in our region, and with the strong voices from the children and youth, we must urgently step up our pace on clean air and climate actions, and also engaging and empowering children and youth. UNICEF office in Asia and Pacific is working with the UNEP Asia and Pacific office to promote the child-centered clean air solution with the technical support from Asia Institute of Technology. So far, 20 child-centered solutions have been identified to specifically tackle the multiple sources of air pollution and exposure routes to the children in their local environment. These solutions are proposed focusing on when children live, when they travel, where they play, where they learn, and children and youth engagement and empowerment is also an important part of the child-centered clean air solution. We need to equip the children and young people with the skills and knowledge to address these problems. We are pleased to have launched the first child-centered clean air solution guide with UNEP during this year's forum, and we are looking forward to more engagement in this area. Just want to say that the children deserve clean air. They don't deserve air pollution. So together, let's reaffirm our commitments to make clean air accessible to all. Finally, I would like to thank our colleagues from UNEP, from the Ministry of Environment of Japan, and other forum partners for hosting this important event for clean air during this challenging time. I thank you all and wish you all the best.
Thank you, Matt, very much for your wise words. And it's children rely on adults and people way older than them to make sure that this all happens. So I'm very, very pleased to hear your commitment to this important cause. I would like to now introduce our speaker, Mr. Soomnam Park. He's Director General of the Environment Bureau of the Gyeonggi Province of the Republic of Korea. The Gyeonggi Province, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, is one of the local government partners of the Asia-Pacific Clean Air Partnership and has been leading efforts to reduce air pollution in Korea. So what's really key is that we have local authorities also play a big part, and I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are on this. The floor is yours.
Hello everyone. I am Park Sung-nam, Director of Gyeonggi-do Environment Bureau. The time has come to conclude the 2021 APCAP Joint Forum. First of all, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to all those who have attended this forum for their insightful presentations and discussions, as well as all domestic and foreign stakeholders. Due to the unexpected strong wave of COVID-19, this year's APCAP Joint Forum was prepared as a non-face-to-face event. I'm sure it must have been hard to communicate with you in the hybrid manner, offline and online. Through the two-day APCAP Joint Forum, fundamental and practical discussions have been made between environmental experts and policy officials. I believe we have successfully shared our experiences and solutions to tackle all environmental issues, including air pollution. In particular, it was a precious time for us to share the Gyeonggi-do's policy to reduce fine dust and the progress that we have achieved with neighboring countries in East Asia. It was a time to rediscover the fact that we are all living in the East Asian breeding community. Taking this opportunity, I hope to continue communicate with the APCAP, not only for sharing our air quality measures, but also for implementing reduction measures. I also hope that this forum will be a good opportunity for APCAP Joint Forum in Gyeonggi-do to further enhance mutual collaboration in the future. We believe that for clean air, the APCAP will lead the technology advancement and international cooperation in the region down the road. Once again, I extend my sincere appreciation to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and it's good to hear like that we have support on for this cause across Asia, including from Korea. And with that, we will now conclude the third APCAP Joint Forum with brief remarks and a vote of thanks from the APCAP Joint Forum Secretariat and our host, the Ministry of Environment of the Government of Japan. I would like now to invite Mr. Yamasaki, Director from the Ministry of Environment, Japan. Mr. Yamasaki, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you, Sophie. I'm Yamasaki, Director of International Cooperation in Air and Water Quality Management, Ministry of the Environment, Japan. First of all, I would like to express my deep gratitude to everyone who has participated in this joint forum to present and share their valuable knowledge and experience. All the distinguished colleagues of the UNEP Secretariat to prepare everything, and the audience from all over the world, despite your busy schedule and being in the global pandemic. Also, the joint forum this year had to be held online. A large number of people from various stakeholders, such as government officials, academia, NGOs, and international organizations have kindly participated in. Highlighting the last 2 days, starting with a high-level session, where speakers from various sectors have exchanged their views on Build Back Better commitments to carbon neutrality and strengthened cooperation on clean air, followed by 6 diverse sessions about women and children's engagement, sustainable transport, urban burning, cities, benefits, and youth. Each session was timely and thought-provoking. Air pollution and climate change are our common and urgent challenges. I hope that this forum has provided good opportunities for every participant to learn, think, and explore the current situation and issues. I also believe that diversification and cooperation is the key to tackle with these serious issues. Let's work together for a better world in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those wonderful words of thanks, and it's collaboration that's going to really change this world. I'm convinced of that. With that, I would like to invite Ms. Isabel Louise, UNEP Deputy Regional Director for Asian Pacific, once more to say very final words. Isabel, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sophie, again. And dear panelists, excellencies, colleagues, and partners. I think we've come ahead, like I said, we've had a very thrilling, exciting 2 days of rich information, and I would like to thank all of you for lending your expertise, experiences, and stories to this virtual Third Asia Pacific Clean Air Partnership Forum. From central Kalimantan to Pakistan, from Pasig City to Gyeonggi Province, all across Asia Pacific, we've had a diverse array of participants and experts. It has been wonderful to learn how you all, in your own way, are working to beat air pollution in the region. Through this forum, we continue to respond head-on to the challenge set to us by the UN Environment Assembly in 2017, which called for the enhancement of regional cooperation to address air pollution in close cooperation with the Asia Pacific Clean Air Partnership. The COVID-19 pandemic since 2020 has set another context for us to take on innovative solutions. And the urgency of actions for reducing carbon emissions must integrate clean air solution. Listening to all of your testimonies has shown that not only through strong collaboration, but also through strong integration can we rise to meet this challenge of building back better. These past 2 days, the forum has enabled learning from each other. Not meeting and exchanging face-to-face must not deter us to step up what we are doing and plan to do and magnify it to others to broaden the alliances for cleaner action. Please continue to reach out to each other and share your ideas and solutions. UNEP, with the support of the government of Japan, is privileged to facilitate this partnership joint forum and is here to serve you, our constituencies in Asia Pacific. Please always feel free to let us know how we can further strengthen the issues to discuss, share, and learn. What else can we bring to join us in the forums? Which partners would you like to have heard from? What emerging issues and topics should we address or have addressed? What can we further explore in our continuous outreach? And how can we maybe make this more accessible and relevant to a wider audience? These past 2 days, we've heard from many voices of the urgency to address pollution, which together with climate change and biodiversity loss, the 3 planetary crises. We heard calls for cleaner actions and solutions to build back better for the environment, economy, society, because air pollution is resulting in close to 5 million premature deaths per year in this region alone. Sadly, air quality remains a woefully under-resourced area. We must collectively in the region be at the forefront of this change, fighting for future generations through long-term commitment to increase institutional and technical capacity and significant financing for clean technology and green recovery and effective regulations and voices. So that is why we're extremely grateful to the Government of Japan's Ministry of Environment for hosting this forum. And on behalf of the APCAP Joint Forum Secretariat, I would like to express our gratitude to the special guests for their insights and experiences, to the expert speakers, the moderators, and the session co-leads, the virtual platform hosts, the virtual show, the designers, the virtual storytellers, note-takers, and our many partners who are instrumental in designing and delivering engaging sessions. And to all the participants for staying tuned in and engaging. Let me express my sincere thanks to the moderators, Rico, Antoinette, Katerina, Zipporah, Takahashi-san, Zohei, and Sophie, who all played an important role in facilitating the sharing of experiences. I must also recognize the team at UNEP Asia Pacific Office and the whole organizing team for working behind the scenes for their tireless effort to deliver this virtual forum. We'll be sharing the event report with you by the end of September, and we look forward to working with you to take on the recommendations from the forum on the journey ahead. We still have 2 side events tomorrow, which hope you can join. A training on short-lived climate pollutants for the Institute for Global Environment Strategies, IGES, Clean Air Asia, Local Government for Sustainability, ICLE, and the Climate and Clean Air Coalition, CCAC. And we also have a technical meeting on hybrid air quality monitoring supported by the United States Department of State. So once again, thank you so much for your time and your valuable presence. I wish you all and your loved ones good health, stay safe, and thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
Thanks, everybody. And with this, the session is formally closed. Have a good day. And clean air.
Thank you.